If you can talk, you can sell $15,000 offers. The problem is no one has shown you how to listen. How many times have you said or someone told you, dude, you're such a great talker, you might as well do sales? I'm going to tell you that is the absolute biggest misconception in the sales space. Any entry-level salesperson, anyone coming into sales, and when they tell me, oh, I'm such a good talker, I talk all the time, blah, 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 I'll be great at sales, you're actually wrong. I'm going to explain to you what high-ticket sales actually is and let you know what it's not. There's a lot of misconceptions that go around. Yes, you can do it remotely. Yes, you can make a ton of money. Yes, you can do very, very well in this space, and it can be a career opportunity that with no degree and honestly like little to no experience, you can do very, very well. But I will explain to you the truth. And so we'll dive into it with step number 1. What is high ticket sales? High ticket sales, very, very simple. I'm going to use what's trending and going around now. If you know the morning routine guy, the guy who runs really, really fast, puts his face in the water, he's one of our clients. He does anywhere between like $500,000, a little shy of $1 million a month right now. And he sells a high ticket offer. He sells a program to help you with either your brand or to become a fitness coach, kind of like what he did in the past. And he'll charge anywhere between $10,000 and $25,000 for that service, for his time, for one-on-ones, for group coaching, for the information, right? And so obviously the $25,000 equates to the value of what you're going to be receiving. And so granted, the intention, expectation of you buying this program for $15,000, $25,000 is that it will pay you 10, 20, 30, 100 folds in the long term, right? So let's say he teaches you how to be an online fitness coach and you make $250K that year, well worth it, right? And so the biggest thing in high ticket sales to remember is that you are in charge of just transference of belief that yes, this program is $25K. And if, you know, the first 30 seconds of the call, you come in and say, hey, it's $25,000. That's way too fucking expensive. Absolutely not. But it's your job to transfer the belief that it is worth the $25,000. Does that make sense? Right? And so if there is that clarity, that emotional buy-in to whatever it is that you're selling, and it feels right, then it will make sense. Feels right, they will compensate logically. And then at that point, you will make the sale. You transfer that belief. So what your job is essentially is to create the belief that the XYZ program is worth $25,000, $10,000. And you do that through your line of questioning, listening to their problems, their issues, their gaps, right? Where they're at now, where they want to go, and then explaining to them how you can actually get them to their goal. It's very, very simple, right? And so to make it super, super simple, Ashton Hall is his name, morning routine guy. He posts content to grab these people's attention. Then they go through either a funnel, right? That little link in their bio that they can check out, get information, watch another video explaining the program, and then they apply to book a call. Or he can say, hey, click the link in my bio, right? Or DM me the word blah, 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 blah to get more information or set up a call with my team, whatever it is, right? Sometimes it's not that simple. But right, so it goes from Ashton's videos to then the inquiry, right? The call to action, click the link in the bio, all that stuff, to then hopping on a call with a closer, right? Or one step before that is the setter who can then warm them up, qualify them. Right? If there's not a funnel, they would do that in the DMs. They qualify them, get them ready for this call, and then they hop on the call with what you would call the closer, the sales rep. The setter is a sales rep too, but it's just everybody wants to be a closer, right? So the closer is one who closes the deal, collects the cash, right, through the line of questioning, make sure it's a good fit, make sure there's enough pain, make sure there's enough emotional buy-in, and they sell a $25,000 program. Now, when you do make that sale, how does it work? Commission only, danger, blah, blah, blah. It's not as dangerous as you think. When you know how to sell and you create predictable outcomes, I mean, if you know you're going to get 10% of that $25,000 deal, $2,500, and you know you're closing at like a 10% close rate, 20% close rate, 30% close rate, and there's 30 calls a month, you can do that math, right? 10%, 30 calls, 3 calls closed, $2,500 a piece. Very simple. $7,500. So That's essentially what high ticket sales is. That's how it works. We'll go deeper on all these other details in between, but that is high ticket sales. An influencer has an offer. They post content about the offer to get people to inquire, and then you close those deals on the back end. The information beforehand from the top of funnel content. So like even this video here is top of funnel content, right? You see my videos, you consume more, get a little more buy-in, then you click the link in my bio, blah, blah. It's like we nurture you through this process. You're nurturing these people to have a little more buy-in, trust you a little bit more based on the information you give. And then at that point, they say, hey, well, you know, this actually could be beneficial to me. I can probably learn a thing or two if I work a little closely with him. Or like, maybe I could just easily get to my goals if I just had 3-4 more answers. Like, this is so great. What would I do if I paid them $5,000, $10,000 for the one-on-ones, right? Boom. That's high ticket sales. Now let's go into the basics of high ticket sales. I kind of went a little further on like what it is and the basics a little bit. But as far as the basics go, what I would consider the basics at the very least is you need to understand that sales is a skill. Sales is not an action. It's not, it is persuasion, yes, but it's not that sleazy tactic, pushy, manipulation. You know, these things that you guys see. It's not that. It's not that at all. That is the misconception that sales is a sleazy, dirty era, or not an era. Sorry, that's not what I mean at all. Industry. There you go. Jeez. That's a dirty industry, and it's not. It's not. It's a big misconception with like the car sales guys, the used car sales guys. Like don't get me wrong, there are some people who teach very sleazy tactics, dirty tactics, and obviously back in early 2000s, 1990s, like yes, like it was a common theme to keep your cards close to your chest as a sales rep, so that the prospects wouldn't know, and then lower prices when they needed to be able to get more. You know, you guys have all seen it. You've all seen it. And so right now, I think we're in this era of distrust. And so what I'm trying to do is change the industry, change the world on how we communicate and how we sell, how we influence people in their decisions. And so through the basics of high ticket sales, understand, right, which you might hear about high ticket sales that it's sleazy, that wrong. Just like the whole concept of like you can talk, you can sell, right? Wrong. Sales at its simplest form is communication and influence. How we communicate with our prospects to influence their decisions. That is fundamentally what sales is. And so what we are teaching you to do in sales, or at least what I would teach you to do, is how to communicate properly to these people to help them realize their limiting beliefs and decisions they've made have not benefited them, reframing it, restructuring it, so they can see the other side and why taking action with you is the best decision to do at this moment to be able to compensate for them to spend the money, of course. Why it's the best thing for you to do at this moment, and influence their decision. Transfer that belief. So basics, the fundamentals, is you are communicating properly, right? You're in control, asking questions to influence their decision. That is the basics of, like, I mean, I'm not even below basics, like the fundamental understanding of what you will be doing at like the lowest level is communication to influence. Now, I think I explained a lot more of the basics of like how the process works within what high ticket sales actually is. Right, you're selling a very, very expensive product, or not very, I mean it's subjective, but you're selling an expensive product to somebody who can afford it. That's essentially what high ticket sales, and that's also added to the basics. So hopefully that wasn't too much information, but you should get the gist of it. Now, jumping into it, B2B versus B2C. What does that even mean? B2B, business to business. B2C, business to client. Business to business is kind of just like, again, Ashton Hall, the way he sells, to fitness coaches or to people who have their own personal brands, they're their own companies, right? They're their own brand. That is his business selling to another business, right? Gym Launch, Alex Ramos's company where I used to work at. You're a business selling to gyms, another business. Now, the biggest distinction between that, I mean, obviously, B2C is business to consumer, or maybe not obviously, but business to consumer, on the other hand, you're not selling to a business, you're just selling to a regular average Joe. So like a single mom, a dad with 4 kids, a teenager, 18, 20-year-old, whatever it is. The main difference between the two, B2B, high level, business savvy, more data driven. You're really, really focused on understanding the nitty gritty details behind the B2B and not really so much the emotions, where it's a little bit more of a logical approach. Everybody does make decisions based on emotion, but when you're selling to a business, granted, not everybody needs to be emotionally bought in. It just needs to make sense for the business at this point, right? Depending on like why they're making this decision, right? They're trying to cut costs and go with a cheaper company, or if, let's say, for example, somebody needs a promotion, they're trying to find the best option, they're going to go with what's in their best interest. But B2B is very much so higher level type A, people who can afford it. What I've also noticed with the common trend with B2B is selling it for almost 2 years now, is really that these people are, if they're really bought in, they will do it, and they're easier to get commitment from, because one, they have the money, and two, granted, this means if you do a good job at actually selling, they will commit, but like they also have a harder time committing if it's not absolutely what they're looking for. And so you'll see that, like, if you're not good enough, there'll be a lot of indecision with B2B. So you have to be the expert for sure. Like if you're the expert, you will close at a very high close rate, which we can even dive deeper into what close rate even means at this point. But business to business, you're going to get high level, more type A, very logical buyers. Now B2C, at this point, you're selling to average Joes. They have aspirations, goals. They're going to vocalize. They're a little more emotional. And don't get me wrong, in business to business, you will have some of these emotional people who will open up and expand on, why they're feeling the way, especially like a gym owner. Like if it's Joe Schmo's gym and you're talking to Joe Schmo, like of course, like they're going to open up about the pain. They do have to be a little more emotional because it's their name at that point. It's almost like a high level B2C, if you will. But in B2C, business to client, usually you're talking to people who have a little bit less of a budget to spend, but a lot more emotional pain and a lot more reason to do this, right? I mean, not a lot more reason, but a lot more emotional reasoning to do it. So usually I would recommend, depending on your personality type, I'd say 80-90% people will start with B2C. But if you do B2B as well, I think everybody should get into B2B eventually. When really going up the ranks, it definitely is positive, plays a more positive factor in terms of like being able to build your confidence and being able to actually become that top 1% sales rep. But realistically, they are two different worlds. And so like I also feel like not everybody belongs in B2B as well. There are a lot of like very specific people who I would say will flourish in B2B, while everybody else, if you're not similar to like the type A kind of guy, you'll probably have a hard time transitioning, especially like because it's just most likely like isn't your most dominant energy, is not practical. And so I've noticed a lot of people having a very difficult time converting, and typically convert back to B2C if they don't do well in B2B. So yeah, and I would say like if B2B, honestly, if you're in your like 30s and older, consider it. But like anything else below that, like get your feet wet with B2C first. Now, difference between closers and setters. There's different names for this: SDRs, account executives, AE, BDRs for setters. A closer, we'll start with setter. A setter initiates the deal. So let's say, for example, somebody inquires about information about your influencer's company or about your company, whatever it is, and they put their name and their email. I'm sure you've done this before too. And then 5 minutes later, you get a phone call. It's like, "Hey, Brian." And like, "Yeah, who's this?" "Hey, Brian, what's going on? It's JJ. How you doing?" And you're like, "Who the fuck is this?" They're like, "Hey, it's the first time calling, man. Don't worry. I just saw you like 5 minutes ago, man. You were filling out some information about getting some sales training. Does that ring a bell?" And you're like, "Dude, I'm literally filling this out right now." That's a setter. That's an appointment setter. And they're there for one reason and one reason only. It's to sell you on setting up a longer conversation with the closer. So the setter is somebody who would pre-qualify you prior to hopping onto the closer. They do it pretty damn quickly. You set that information up, right? You put in your inquire, whatever. You get a free training, do all this stuff. And then they'll call you because that's when the most buy-in is there. I don't know why I put quotations. It literally is there. But then, okay, yeah, sure. They did that initial qualifying process to then consider putting you on a calendar with a closer to then have them take your money, right? And that's what the closer is, which is the person who comes in and closes and finishes that deal. After they find out you're qualified, there's some intent. Now you're booked up for that second meeting. Of course, like you need somebody to be able to. And now, sometimes, don't get me wrong, I've seen it's becoming a lot more common now where there's like a full cycle sales rep, so they're doing setting and closing. Like a lot of guys that I work with directly are doing both. I had one guy, Malachi, actually, he did a closing call on the set call. Like he was calling to set them, and they ended up closing a 12.5K deal on the set call because you can recognize how bought in they actually are. And he decided to pull that trigger. But now he's a full cycle sales rep. Not everybody can do that. Not every company will let you do that at all. Why do I look so white sometimes? And it's so weird. Anyway, sorry, I'll fix this lighting after. But anyway, oftentimes if you're a great setter, right, they'll leave you as a setter. But if you also, one thing I will tell you guys, if you want to become a closer and you know you want to become a closer, starting off as a setter, vocalize that you want to become a closer. That's the biggest thing, because the last thing you want to have happen is to have them be like, well, David was a great setter, and he's our number one setter. I might as well just leave him a setter. If you don't vocalize that you want to become a closer initially, it won't happen. Right? You want to be able to ascend. And so if you feel like you don't like having that face-to-face conversation, you prefer just doing the dials, and you feel more comfortable with shorter conversations, start off with setting. But if you want to be the guy closing deals, collecting the cash, typically making more money, go for closing. Now, granted, there is a learning curve between the two. Setting is more of an entry-level basic role that I think anyone can do. Literally, anyone. If you can read a script and read it without sounding like you're reading a script, you can be a setter. Now, granted, you should be able to work your way up to a closer after being a setter for probably about 3 to 6 months is typical, right? Now, if you don't have any sales experience, don't expect to jump right into a closing role. I'm just being very, very honest with you guys. Unless you can sell yourself through and present yourself well, it's not very common, at least now, 2025, that they're just going to let you jump in and be a closer without any experience. It's very, very tough. So if you have any kind of sales background, whether it's in person, remotely, and it might not be in the high-ticket space specifically, you can still use the transferable skills from like even car sales into closing if you've done some type of deal closing role. It's pretty similar. So that's just one thing. I had some guys come in from like the in-person space, door-to-door space, and like, I have 5 years of sales experience, but it's not transferable because it's door-to-door. And like, don't get me wrong, I guess it's different, but the concepts are very similar, and it wouldn't be much of a learning curve for you. So don't try to de-sell yourself by saying, hey, I did this X, Y, Z, but it's not similar. Like, understand that like sales is sales overall. It might be a little bit of a different framework or approach, but you have the benefit of having sales experience. So that's the only way I would ever tell you to go jump straight into closing, is if you do have some sales experience. If not, get some coaching, developer skills, and then be able to present yourself as a closer when you're ready to do that. If not, go for the setting role first. Which leads me to the next point. No degree, no problem. I'm not going to take too much time on this, but it's very, very simple. In sales, you can make a lot of money, and I think probably the majority of people who I know who are crushing it in the space don't have a college degree. That's the truth. Like every single person on my sales team, got about 8 employees now, I don't think any of them finished college. Not one. Yeah, literally not one. Even the oldest member, who's like 43. No, he did not. Yeah. So, I mean, like, I've got guys on my team who are 19. I've got guys on my team who are 21. They have not finished college. But that's okay. They're still sales professionals. Like, our top coach did 30K this last month. I mean, it's you could say it's a risk. You could say whatever. But regardless, the skill of communication will benefit you so much more inside of sales and outside of sales, and you can take this to any industry, any place, anywhere you go. Like, to be more likable, to be more relatable, right? For people to actually put you at a higher frame, higher status, and actually want to speak to you, whether it's in an interview, and even if you're selling yourself in an interview. Like, there's no harm in having a sales role, ever, if you learn correctly. Now, if you're learning from, I'm not going to just say anybody's name, but if you're learning from like the wrong people, then of course. but you have to be able to know what good and bad is. People tell you to be pushy, to lie, to do all these incorrect things that you know in your conscious, in your gut, in your soul that this is not right. You're not in the right place. If you feel like it's just like, dude, why would I even do this? And there's no conviction or belief behind what you're selling and what you're doing, don't be there. Like, I've sold for very few people, right? I've been in the sales space 7 years. I've sold for myself for the first 2 years. Worked with Alex Shermozy at Gym Launch. And then I worked with Iman. And then I did some sales consulting in between for my own company, right? And that's been my journey these last 7 years. But I was convicted throughout all of it and every single opportunity that I was selling for. I believed in Iman, and I believed in the program he was teaching, which was at that time Agency Navigator. And then Hermosi was literally my competitor. My agency was gym owners and studio owners. So I was like, if they know something that I don't, then yeah, hell yeah. I'll learn from them. $100 million a year, I'll learn from them. And I believed in Hermosi too. So it's like, at that point, the conviction's there, the belief is there, integrity, all that stuff is there, right? And so it's like, if you don't have a degree, learn how to communicate properly. It'll impact you positively financially, socially, mentally, emotionally. Like, sales grows more on you as you grow in it. Like, it works more on you as you work on it. There's no harm in learning how to communicate. And that is fundamentally what sales is. Let's continue. The Wild Wild West. I don't know who put this down here. I would never say this ever. I don't know why this is on. But anyway, essentially what this means is like the dark side, the truth about high ticket sales. I don't think anybody will tell you. Being in this space for as long as I have, where I'm at now at a point where we're guaranteeing sales opportunities to students. A few things. Number one, people will prioritize money over their reputation. I've seen some of the biggest influencers in the space, like people that we all know, like that we've seen, like have hundreds of millions of views, maybe even close to billions, literally say, hey, I need high ticket closers, and then get them onto a call thinking it's an interview, and they will try to sell them on their high ticket coaching program. That is absurd. Be aware. Okay? So they will prioritize money over reputation. And this is the biggest guys in the space, and they do not care. So trust me when I tell you, even the little guys who are doing like 20 to like 90K a month, they will prioritize money over reputation. Remember that. So make sure you're going for verified opportunities, right? And the ways you can verify it on your own, if you don't know, I mean, granted, if you don't join communities that are trusted and known, and your friends aren't inside of it, you don't know anybody in the space, right? Like, communities will save you, of course. We have a community where if you want opportunities, we've got a bunch. Now, I'm not here to sell you on the idea of joining my community. It's free, but regardless, on the other hand, if you don't want to do my community, it's totally okay. Join one that you trust. Join one that you know. Join one that your friend's in. Do that. That's the simplest way to do it. Now, on the other hand, when you're on these interviews, questions you can ask, right? So it's very simple. Hey, what is revenue at currently? Okay, that might sound obvious, but, oh, we're doing about 100K a month. Okay, cool. And what's the top closer doing currently? Oh, he's doing about 5K a month. Okay, what's the bottom closer doing about right now? He's doing about 3K a month. Okay. And how many closers are on the team? Oh, there's only those two, right? And any setters? Oh, no setters. We just have like an automated process for when they come in. So granted, now they said revenue is at 100K a month. Top closer is doing 5K, which means if it's at 10%, he's closing 50K in cash collected. And if the bottom closer is doing 4K, or if it's at 3K, 4K, whatever it is, or I think it's at 3K. Okay, he's doing 3K, he's closing at 30K revenue. Now it's, okay, we do that math. It's 8. So that's 80K. There's no setters. So where's that other 20K of revenue coming from? And I'm like, maybe my numbers were. And so that's something very, very simple where, like, if a very sharp, or not very, like an above average offer owner knew their business, like if you came to me and asked me my numbers, and you wanted me to show you, I would literally just, okay, let me just pull up a document and I will show you. Like, transparency is the big thing. They're not transparent. If you ask for numbers like this and they're like, oh, well, we can't show you that unless, like, it's suspicious. It's suspicious. Like, you should walk in with overwhelming confidence and know that this is the place where you need to be, the place where you want to be. There shouldn't be a question. It should be certainty. And don't let hype get in front of you either. 'Cause so many guys will be like, oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread, and we're predicting to do, like, the excitement, go somewhere that you can trust, right? Why did I go to Gym Launch? Because it was established. Now, granted, I presented myself very well and sold myself through, sure. I mean, I had some experience. I had my own agency for almost 2 years at that point. And so it was pretty easy for me to sell myself through. But granted, for you in your case, like, don't just try to jump on any and every opportunity. I'd rather you be on no opportunity than just be on anything. Reps aren't worth it. Reps are going to confuse you. If you get reps on a bad opportunity, you're going to start questioning your skill instead of questioning the opportunity, because you can't even distinguish if it's you or the opportunity that's doing good or bad. You don't know. So all you're going to do is take accountability just like any other sales rep would. So be very, very aware. Verified opportunities only. Don't just try to, like, search for anything and everything. Don't go in these Facebook groups that try to scam you. Like, make it simple for yourself. I'm telling you guys right now, there's plenty of communities you can find on School, on WAP. I mean, I wouldn't say Twitter, but even go through Instagram, right? Like, just find a guy that you trust. It doesn't have to be me. It could be any other influencer that you do see and check their followings. They're following any other sales guys, right? Like, just find somebody you trust. It's very, very simple. Like, don't try to go everywhere and anywhere. Go to one source and build off of that. Now, how much can you earn? I will be honest and say, like, it's uncapped in the sense that, like, depending on what you're selling, you can make almost any amount of money. Like, I mean, if you're selling for yourself, like, I mean, there's guys who do millions of dollars a month selling for themselves. I mean, well, let me take that back. They're not literally selling for themselves, but they probably have closers and people in sales who are selling and doing millions of dollars in cash collected or in revenue. But obviously, as far as, like, monthly earnings, I mean, there's closers out there who've done 100K months. There's actually a closer on our team who's a top closer at Gym Launch who did 100K in a month before. So, like, I've seen and I've heard about the 100K month closers, right? There was one guy who closed me from Jerry Miner's team back when he was 16, Yash Gajar. He's apparently, like, done 6 figures a month in commissions as well. So, like, that's, like, the highest of the highest. Like, the 1% of the 1% can do that. But I would say on average, as a setter, you should be looking between, like, 2 and 8K on the high end, but, like, on average, like 2 to 5, 2 to 5, 2 to 6. Now, on the other hand, as a closer, you should be looking between, on average, like 4 and 12 on the high end. I know those are massive ranges. On the lower end, for both of them, it would be like 2 to 4K for a setter, and then like 4 to 7 for a closer. The reason why I say high end is just because it all depends on the opportunity you're on. Like, don't get me wrong, I guess it really comes down to 2 factors. Like, if you're on a great opportunity, but your skill is lacking, I mean, like, improve your skill and then you can make more money. It should be that simple. Like, you're at a 10% close rate. If you just increase it to a 30% close rate, I mean, you can literally double your income from there, right? But obviously, the opportunity has to be there. So if you're on a solid opportunity if you're on a solid opportunity and you have a bad closer, you're probably going to get cut anyway. So just invest in more sales training. But on the other hand, it's if you're on a great opportunity, that does like $10 million a month, but you're, the other way around, like your skill is great, but you're on an opportunity that is doing $5K a month, how much money is there to go around? Oh, it's unrealistic, like $50K a month, and there's 2 closers. I mean, at most, maybe if you crush it and the other one sucks, you can do 4K in a month and the other one can do 1K. Right? But that's where it's like, it should be that simple. You just know based on revenue, how much can you really make? But now let me tell you this, don't prioritize revenue over conviction. Because if you're just looking for like the highest earnings and you don't believe in what you're selling, like, I mean, you're setting yourself up for failure. Like, you won't be there long term anyway. I've seen guys be on opportunities they didn't even believe in, not even a little bit, doing 16K a month. 16K. And they were like, I don't think I want to be here. So trust me, like whenever they're, I'd make 500K a month, I'll do anything. Like, I mean, that's a big number, but like still, like if you're making a lot of money, you think like, I would, if I was making 10K a month, I'd stay on an opportunity. It doesn't matter. That internal fulfillment that's not there, that gap, you'll just, again, emotionally, it won't feel right, and you're going to compensate logically, just like every freaking decision we always make. And you'll be like, I need to go somewhere else. So earning is uncapped, literally. But also, it is capped to the amount of revenue that the opportunity is making. So it does depend on the opportunity you're on. So I cannot lie there. So I would just, but on average, take that into consideration. For setters, 2 to 4K. For closers, you'll be looking around 4 to 12. Getting started. Very, very simple. If you're watching this video, either, if you're in it already and you're watching this far, you're probably pretty bored. Like, just because, I don't know why you would say this far. If you know what high ticket sales is, you're trying to get a different perspective, sure, I guess. Awesome. I'm happy to see you here this long. But if you're just getting started, which I'm assuming you guys are, and you're probably not in it at all and don't even know what sales is, or maybe just don't know what high ticket sales is, a few ways you can go about it. Number one, what I would do, this is what I did when I first started, is like find a few influencers that you believe in and reach out to them. Obviously, have a good DM structure if you guys need help on that. I have a document that I'll submit below that you guys can use on like how I would approach businesses. But for starters, right, if you want to just do like your due diligence, I would reach out to like 5, 10, 20, if you have 30, I don't know how many you do know, but 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 influencers to find an opportunity there. Granted, if you have zero experience, I would even tell you to like really, really like slow your roll. Don't look for opportunities now. Get educated on how high ticket sales works and how you can actually improve your skills prior to jumping on these opportunities, because people won't just bet on you. They're not going to just give you an opportunity just because. It just doesn't work that way anymore, right? Too many people, like, there's if you're on especially a good opportunity, too many good opportunities have too many good closers and setters actually approaching them that, like, they're not going to give you that chance. I'm just going to be super transparent with you. Like, don't expect that. That's an unrealistic belief. And that's honestly just going to slow down your growth anyway. So if you have zero experience, instead of even reaching out to any opportunities at all, improve your skill. Learn the foundations first, right? Develop that. Join a community. Right? Again, it doesn't have to be mine, but join a community. Learn sales. Watch YouTube videos, right? Don't go, and I will preface this, don't go out and start looking up every other sales rep and every other sales coach and try to learn from everybody. That's going to create analysis paralysis, because you're going to start to realize very, very fast that sales is very opinion-based and experience-based, right? Opinions based on what they've seen work for them, and experience-based in the sense of like, hey, I had a lot of success with this when I did this. This is what works, right? And so commit to the sales style that you do enjoy, like you do feel resonates with you, right? The one that like actually makes sense. And then you can watch other people as you go later into your journey to take away some maybe more advanced tactics, or like little subtle tactics of where you're struggling, but don't go out and start studying everyone and anyone, because also you just won't even be able to distinguish what's good and bad, right? Granted, like, again, trusted person. Again, if that's me, great. If it's somebody else that you've seen before that you're like, I really like them, commit to them, right? So getting started, educate yourself, understand it, get some foundations under your belt. So like, obviously, like if you join a good community like ours, we will help you role play. We'll have you watch good calls, bad calls, so you can distinguish it and understand the fundamentals first. And then at that point, start looking for an opportunity. Don't just rush in to try to get money. It doesn't make any sense. Or if you rush in without any preparation, you're going to go and just crumble. That's the truth. Like, I promise you, sales is a lot more cutthroat than you think. And honestly, like, people just don't have the sympathy anymore, or the empathy anymore. They're not patient anymore either, because I can tell you, if you're going to at least a semi-established company, there's probably been a little bit of churn and burn They've had their experiences with other reps, and so it's like at this point, get your foundations, understand the fundamentals, and then from there, I mean, within the communities that you're probably in, again, connecting with job opportunities should be pretty simple. But I also have, well, I'm not going to say it right now. I'll save this for another video, but I was going to just overshare something really quick. Doesn't matter. I'll talk about that in the next video. Almost ended it here just really quick. Last slide, closing thoughts. Closing thoughts overall. I think this gives you enough context on what high ticket sales actually is, because I think there's a big misconception that goes around of what high ticket sales is and how it works. Now, I think this gives you the basic understandings of what you'll be walking into, what it'll look like. Now, it's not the clear, concrete picture on a pedestal. No, not at all. It's not what this whole intention of this video is for. It's piecing together the things that you probably have heard, you've seen, and you probably wanted a reassurance on. And just to give you guys reassurance that like this is exactly what it is and what to look out for as well. So other than this, like I don't think there's much else to really ask or understand. If you guys have any other questions, like ask it in the comments by all means. But if you guys need anything else, you let me know. I've got some news to share with you guys in about a week. So be on the lookout for some updates, and see you guys soon.